All right, I see a few people there. There we go. Now everyone's starting to show up. So we thought we'd stop by and say hello a little bit today. I was talking to Jordan the other day, and one of the things he kind of suggested is that maybe these random live streams aren't such a bad thing. Just all of a sudden you log in, and there I am. How's Texas? Texas is great. It's hot and humid here, but you know what? It's really nice. Hello, Troy, Ohio. Guess you guys didn't get totally wiped off the map. That's good to hear. Yeah, it was pretty humid here today. I mean, they were predicting what upper 80s, and so I guess when I think of humidity, like in California, it's hot and it's humid and there's no breeze. So a lot of times, when it is hot and humid here, there's a nice breeze, and that actually helps quite a bit. How's the toilet situation? Well, they've fixed it, I guess. There haven't been any nasty things coming up lately. So I guess whatever it is, they got it plumbed out. They did their typical quality work and putting it back together. But whatever, it doesn't have to look good. It just has to not have ugly things coming out. South Carolina got some rain. Yeah, I think that was the stuff that blew through here yesterday. They were saying it was supposed to rain all day yesterday, and then it didn't. That's okay. Sometimes they call her Minnie too. Haven't heard anything from Flash for a few days. I think I mentioned a few days ago that my father had sent some pictures over, and I shared those, but I haven't heard anything yet, or haven't heard anything since then. Yeah, I got family in Minnesota, so I've been to Minneapolis a few times. Yeah, it gets miserable in the summer. It's just as bad as it is down here. Hey, Kitty. Yeah, see, that was one of the reasons I kind of wanted to get out of California is it just doesn't rain very often. So, I always kind of loved it when it did rain because I don't know, for me, it's something different. Living in a desert all your life, it just kind of gets boring after a while. What do you have? You have, cold season, you have windy season, you have hot season, you have fire season. That's what we have in California. That just gets old after a while. Um, I, like I said, I chose Texas primarily because I wanted something different from where I was, and Texas seemed about as far away from California as I could get. Uh, yeah, okay, fine, it gets hot here, but being close to the Gulf and having a lot of storm systems come off of that, we're gonna get some rain here, and that's really what I wanted to do. And oh yeah, I forgot about well, I did mention fire season, but earthquake season. You're right. That was another reason I kind of chose Texas over, a lot of other states. That no earthquakes here, or I've seen I think a couple of them, and I think that probably has more to do with oil drilling than anything seismic. Yeah, basically anywhere along the west coast or the east coast, and around the Gulf is subject to hurricanes. But and I'm expecting I may hit a few of those. But I'm far enough into the state that I don't think it's going to be a big problem. Generally, with hurricanes, they begin losing power the second they make shore. So yeah, I'll get some nice wind here. But you know what? I had those in California too. We call them Santa Ana winds, and they get pretty gusty up where I was too. So I think I'm up for that. I'm just high enough up all out away from the ocean that I'm not going to be in the storm surge, and that's where the real danger comes from. Did my last pod get to me? Only the one pod, and I covered that a couple days ago. Actually, you'll hear about it on today's vlog, which is going up in a little less than an hour. But I've made a decision that I'm going to I just got to completely separate myself from pods. I'm done with them. You know, they make stupid mistakes and then they don't take responsibility for them. So it's just best to separate myself. They would have been far better off if they just been reasonable and acknowledged that they screwed up and tried to fix it. But this is going to cost them more now because now not only am I not going to store my two remaining pods with them for the next 6 months, they're going to get slammed by me on social media. So whatever, it happens. It's their choice. And at the end of the day, it turned out better anyway because by by separating myself from pods and putting them in a storage locker, the storage locker is walking distance from me, and it's 1/3 the price a month. And I'm going to be able to put both pods, the stuff of both pods, into one storage locker. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be some hard work because I'm going to have to move all that stuff, but we'll take care of that. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say that everybody's experience is with this way because I mean I read a lot of reviews online. People, you know, had generally good things to say about them. You did run into a few people that had complaints, but generally it seemed that the vast majority of people were very happy with them. So I was really surprised. Especially when you're paying as much as you are for that. I mean, I've paid an enormous amount of money so far. I was calculating it out today, and just to date, I've spent like $12,000 for those guys. So I'd hope I'd do better than that. But whatever. Yeah, I'm going to stick with a storage facility that, like I said, it's local, and it's cheap. So that's great. Yeah, $12,000, a lot of money. Like I said, it wasn't even done. It was gonna. It's a little over $500 a month just to store the things, and they were gonna have them for another 6 months. So you know what? They turned away a lot of money, a lot more money. Yeah, sort of an upbeat mood. I kind of went off and did something fun today. You'll have to go check out the vlog when it goes up in about an hour. I already got it edited, so it's all I got to do is sit and wait for it to happen. Probably not the best idea to do a live stream right before my own vlog goes up, but you know what? Whatever. It'll still be there tomorrow. No, Tortoise is not in Texas. The Tortoise is staying with my parents in California. Uh, I don't have enough of a backyard that she'd be very happy. And unfortunately, what little is there, I'm concerned that she'd get under the fence or fall into a crack or something like that. It's not worth it. And my parents were so willing to babysit her, so that was just the way to go. Am I interested in seeing the bats in Austin? Yeah, yeah, I might do that. I think I mentioned when we came through Carlsbad, New Mexico on our road trip that when I was a kid, my parents took my sister and I to Carlsbad Caverns, and you came in just before dark, and all the bats that lived in that cave would come out. It was fascinating. So it'd be a lot more fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun to go see that. Did I say where in Texas? I mean, where I live. If that's the question, I'm in Waco. Sorry, I'm not going to get much more specific than that. I'm sure most of you are perfectly great people, but unfortunately, there's a few people out there that are kind of jerks, and you got to kind of prepare for the worst. Yeah, the laugh track still makes me laugh too. And see, that's what it's all about with me is until I start making any real money off of this or making any money at all off of this, it's I got to do it for my own amusement. Yeah, Jordan was suggesting I ought to do a "That's Not How It's Done" T-shirt. So I don't know. Like I said, I still got to contact Orlando over at the T-shirt place because he doesn't know that much about me yet, except for the fact that he's gotten a couple screen captures he's used on some of Jordan's shirts. But um, we'll probably end up doing something like that. I heard something recent that he'd lost one of his graphic artists, so that's kind of sad. The person that did, I guess, some of the great artwork on Jordan's shirts isn't with him. But fortunately, mine would be pretty simple because it would just really be that tagline. That's not how it's done, you know. Yeah, a couple of people have commented that they've borrowed my little slogan right now, so that doesn't surprise me. Let's turn it into something viral. That'd be fun. Wouldn't it be? I was telling Jordan the other night, wouldn't it be funny if that was what I was known for? Yeah, I got to keep some stuff private. I learned that from Jordan. I learned, I learned a lot of things just by watching what he did and some of the problems that he ran into. So, I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get into that, too far. Don't let, I'm never going to show any video of the outside of the building, give any identifiable stuff. Like I said, I'm sure that 99.9% of the people out there are really great people, but unfortunately, not everyone is. And you got to plan for that 0.001. Did I have earthquake insurance in my house in California? No, no, no one ever really did. That was a bad thing because it was so expensive, and it was one of those things that a lot of people didn't do until there was an earthquake, and then they'd think about it and they'd have to do it. And so all these insurance companies would say, okay, yeah, we won't write new policies within 60 days of an earthquake. So if there's an earthquake today, you can't write a policy tomorrow. They'll wait a certain period of time because otherwise everybody does it. And then next time there's an earthquake, that's, bankrupts the company. You know, homeowners insurance is great for something like fires or something like that doesn't happen to like a lot of people at once. But when you start dealing with things like earthquakes, you can level a whole town. When you start talking about leveling a whole town, um, you know, that's the kind of thing that bankrupts companies. Jordan and I never really talk a whole lot. We kind of do everything by text, but yeah, we've been talking back and forth via text message quite a bit. Yeah, these are fun, and right now, the nice thing is I'm really close to hitting the 1,000 subscriber mark, and I'm very very close to hitting the 4,000 total hours viewed mark. In fact, right now it's kind of a cross, it's kind of a challenge to see which one's going to actually happen first. Because if you'd asked me a couple of days ago, I would have said, "Oh, I'm going to hit 1,000 subscribers first." But you know, subscribers are weird because sometimes you'll get a whole bunch of them in one day, and then it'll be 2 or 3 days and you won't get any. And so 4 or 5 days ago, I was 50 away from 1,000. I figured, okay, by the end of the week or within a couple of days, I should hit it. But then the total hours started surging, and the subscribers didn't. So I don't know. Right now, it looks like maybe actually the total viewers could how it could happen before I get the other one. So I don't know. We'll see. They're both going to happen pretty quick, and then things are going to change hopefully fast. Let's see. That's a good thing, with the live streams because if I get a bunch of if I do an hour long live stream and I get everyone to watch the full hour, then that's that could be a couple hundred hours. That was actually when I had my first really big jump was when I did the first live stream, because then rather than being a 5 or 10 minute video, it's an hour video or a 2 hour video, and you know what? That gets a lot of view time, and that's something that YouTube wants to look at before they'll let you monetize. Yeah, Jordan's been commenting about that too. he doesn't really understand it either any more than anyone else does. It's just sometimes it's making a lot of moves, and other times it just nothing happens. As soon as if I ever figure it out, I'll share it with you. But I don't know if there's any real um, I don't know if there's any real reason for it. If it's just some people, sometimes people aren't watching. And I know he wants to see my ankles. Okay, people are saying congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. I'm not at 1,000 yet, am I? I don't know. I have to look. Got a new phone here. Still can't find anything. Yeah, no, we're not at 1,000 yet. Just getting close. I think everybody hears me talking about it and thinks I am at 1,000. So yeah, 973. That's where it was before I started this. I suppose it's possible I can get you know 27 subscribers in an hour. It's happened before, but so I had to check. But yeah, maybe YouTube does control what we think. Yeah, like I said, I got to hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 total hours, and I'm at like 3,820 total hours. So like I said, we're real close on both of them. One good live stream where a whole bunch of people watch it. If I can get 200 people to watch the whole thing, that's going to push me over the top right there. And Jordan's right. It really helped a lot to start doing these things daily. That's when things really started changing here. Yeah, it's hard to collaborate with him anymore because of how far we are apart from each other. Uh, but that's we still kind of bounce stuff off each other and talk to each other and stuff like that. So what we also have kind of different kind of things we do. I'm doing one thing and he's doing something else. So whatever. Yeah, 39,000. That sounds about right for total views. I think I saw that same number today when I was digging through my analytics. I haven't. That's funny. When I came here a few months ago to kind of scope the place out, I made it a point to eat a lot of barbecue, but I haven't had any barbecue since I've arrived here. So yeah, if you have any good recommendations for things in Waco, I'd love to hear it. It was more. I guess it was more of an issue before I started getting pots and pans. Lately, I've been cooking at home, and so maybe I maybe past all that. But there's nothing that says I can't do. I can't go out to dinner once in a while. I never used to do that at home, in California, but uh, nothing that says I can't do it. Kitties are doing fine. Yeah, they're up in their room right now, taking their late afternoon, early evening nap. I'll be seeing them in an hour or so. In fact, who knows? Maybe they'll hear me talking and they'll come down and visit. We'll see. Yeah, I guess with barbecue, I'm just gonna have to get out and kind of wander around and look for it. Maybe just Google barbecue and see what's around here, and then just try something. You never know, because yeah, I mean, even with 104 people on here, what's the likely that one of you is from Waco? Oh, the plants are doing good, Jenny. Everything seems to survive. I have everything out in the backyard now, except for that little cutting that I took from the patio cover. That's in the kitchen. But everything else is out in the back, and they got a little bit of rain the other day, and I'm kind of feeding them water as they need it. So, I think they're all going to make it. We're doing really well. I'm really surprised that the maple tree is growing as fast as it has, because it's something I grew from a seed basically, and it's grown at a certain rate every year. But ever since I got here, there's just been massive growth on it. I think it just really likes the weather in Texas. I think it likes a lot of rain. I think it likes that's probably humid, probably likes that. I don't have it in the sun. I have it kind of in a shady area, but it seems to really thrive in here. So I'm looking forward to see what comes of that. I might end up putting it in a larger pot before long. Right now it's just like in a 1 gallon pot, but it could probably easily go into a 5 or 10 gallon pot pretty soon. Because you'll want to leave it in a pot for a while before you put it in the ground. It's not big enough right now for that. You get trampled by somebody. Yeah, exactly. It loves Texas. Hi, Jenna. Welcome in. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, we're just chilling today, doing a little bit of live streaming. See if I can see what happens. Yeah, that's I agree with that. The little guy, the little hole in the wall barbecues are probably going to be the best because they don't have all the fancy advertising and all that. They have to do it just on word of mouth, and generally you don't get good word of mouth if you don't have good food. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'll probably just one of these days end up Googling Texas barbecue or something like that and driving around seeing what I find. Who knows? There's got to be good barbecue in Waco. It's got to be. Other pods, no. The other pods are still at the pods storage facility, and I actually called in today to arrange to have one of them put down on the ground so I can get access to it. Because I think what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm done with pods. I pretty much just want to break all ties with them, and so over the next few days, I think I'm going to just drive a truck over to them, unload the pods, and bring it over to my storage locker and go that way. Um, I don't even want them to bring it over to me because I don't want to give them any more money. I'm not happy with them, and I don't pay for that. So I think it's just going to be easier. I'll just rent a truck, drive up to them, load the truck up, come back down, maybe do two loads a day if I can. I don't know. We'll see. But over the next week or so, I want to just completely break ties with them. So we'll play it by ear. It's also really important that I get into one of the pods because one of the pods has my birth certificate and social security card, and it's really hard to do anything in Texas if you don't have that. I can't get a job without a social security card. I can't even get my driver's license updated until I can produce my birth certificate. So both of those things are in the storage locker, in the second locker. So that's going to be the first thing I'm looking for on Monday when I go up to try and pick those things up, is to try and find the location of those things. I know approximately where I know what they're inside of, so all I got to just do is find that. And so I'm sure I'll probably get it on the first day. If not, we'll get it on the second day. Um, that's really the next thing I got to do is start finding a job, and I don't really know at this point what I want to do. A lot of it, I think, I'm gonna probably end up going to like some temp agency and see what they can do. I've heard a lot of people say that's really the way to do things like that because a lot of times the temp agencies have access to job opportunities that maybe wouldn't, be available on the online or advertised in the paper or something like that. So I think I'm gonna try and do that now that I got decent clothes to wear, and as soon as I can get my social security card, we ought to be able to start doing that. And at that point, if it takes a little longer to get all the rest of the pods unloaded because I have a job, then so be it. That'll be good. So yeah, hopefully we'll be talking to a temp agency like within the next week or so. Get going on that. I did a little bit on when I was here a few months ago, scoping the place out. I did some stuff online and actually got a couple of offers, but it was nothing I was really that excited about. It doesn't have to be anything really great. It just has to be able to make a little bit of money for me so that I can, support myself on this and maybe, have a chance to grow. I don't have a problem starting entry level as long as there's, advancement opportunities. And That was the big thing I had a problem with Jordan. I saw Jordan's name come up there. That's the biggest problem I had with Disney. Get a job with Pods, yeah, that'll happen. Actually, I thought about that at one point. One of the things I thought about is, if I could get a job with Pods, and so that's over now. Unless they make me the CEO or something like that, and I can start fixing some of these problems. I don't want to work in a broken company like that. That's no good. Yeah, I moved the Texas flag. It used to be over there behind me originally, but then the TV went there, so I just moved it right here. It looks like a good background, so whatever. I wish if I owned half the company by now, yeah, they wouldn't be getting away with this. I'll tell you, I would be cracking heads. That's the thing that really frustrated me. They admitted that they screwed up not once but twice. They admitted it was completely their fault, but yeah, that's just not worth doing anything. It's not worth. We're not going to give you any money for it, or we'll reimburse you for your expenses, and we'll give you like $25 a day. And it's like, really? I spent 12 days in my apartment with nothing, and that's how you're going to compensate for me? It doesn't work that way. Go back to space camp. Yeah, were you? Yeah, that'd be fun. I actually went there a number of years ago. It was actually a kick. I didn't go to a space camp because I was a little too old for that. But yeah, call pods and tell them that's not how it's done. You're right. But I think they'll get the idea. I think they'll get the idea. When I break off ties with them and just stop talking to them. Because there's this one individual. Once I complained, I got called by somebody in their human or in their customer service department, and that person said basically from then on that if I needed anything, I was to call them and call her and talk to her personally. But then she was the one that started, playing games, and just it isn't worth it. So, if it's important, they'll call me. If it's not, and I expect it isn't, I won't hear from them again. Whatever. I'm not calling her. I just when I called today to make arrangements to get my pod pulled down so I can get it and get into it. I didn't even call her. I just called the general number. You know, not going to allow them to get mad. I'm not going to allow myself to get mad at them because the truth is they record all their calls, and that was the first thing they did when I called and complained. Is they said, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go back and review all the calls," and that was how they found out everything that went wrong and found out it was all their fault. And whatever. Yeah, I'm just going to really drop the issue. I don't really want to get the Better Business Bureau involved in it. Do I have a washer and dryer in my unit? I have my washer and dryer in one of the pods, but they have like an on-site laundromat here that you can use. So I do that all the time. I don't know. I'm questioning this too. I'm trying to remember what it is that Jordan thinks I should do. Because he texted me a few nights ago and had a lot of great ideas on things that we should do. And actually, he's the reason I'm doing this live stream now is because he suggested it was it's a good way to build subscribers and build hours. And I mentioned last time before the last live stream that I was going to do it. And the truth is, I didn't really get that many more live viewers at the time than when I'd just popped up surprisingly. So I don't know, we'll do it from time to time and pop up over here and see what happens. But Oh, okay. That's what he's talking about. Yeah. Jordan had kind of made a comment with some of my vlogs where I was fixing things. He said it was like this old house. In fact, I was going to text him the other day and mention that like three or four other people mentioned the same thing in the comments section of a couple of my videos, that it was just like that show. Funny thing is, I'd never actually seen that show. That was back before I was really into it. But Jordan was thinking that I should just buy some fixer-upper house and go through the house fixing things that aren't done the way they should be done, and turn it into kind of a this old house type show. Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't know. We'll see. If I get to the point where I could support myself just on the vlogging, that would make it a lot easier. It's really hard to spend a lot of time fixing up a house if you're also working full time. But hopefully we can get to the point where maybe that might be possible. Who knows? Yeah, I know. I'm a huge fan of Chip and Joanna. It'd be fun to work with them. I've watched their show a bunch of times. This old mouse, that's great. But that would only work if I could go and fix Disney. Jordan plays everything pretty dang awesome. Yeah, I've heard him play a lot of times. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I haven't even heard that one yet. Yeah, that was another one of Jordan's suggestions, is that I should do a roadside attraction like Meow Wolf. He even suggested, getting all the YouTube fans involved, letting you make suggestions about what I should do. That would be fun. He threw a whole bunch of great ideas at me that I'm gonna kind of like start popping out. Maybe I wrote them all down so I can do it. Um, so who knows? We'll see. Yeah, Meow Wolf was awesome. It was. I had no idea what to expect when we went in there, and it just blew me away. I mean, you just you see one part, it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool, and it's like, wow, this is totally different. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. I guess this thing was that building was like an old bowling alley at one point, so it was a huge place. Like I said, I had no idea what to expect from it, but yeah, but Trailer Park Boys reference, that'd be cool. Updated version of a flea circus. Yeah, I was familiar with the show of This Old House. It's just I never watched it. I didn't really get into like the home improvement shows until I had a home. At that point, I started watching them religiously, but I think that was way beyond that was way beyond when This Old House was in its prime. Hey Becky, how's it going? Yeah, Jordan's an amazing guitar player. Always has been. He picked it up, and he was good when I first met him. So doesn't surprise me that he's even better now. Yeah, YouTube sort of is the future for stuff like this. It seems like TV is kind of going away here. So yeah, who knows? It's more on demand. You have more choice. You can watch what you want. You know, so YouTube and online streaming stuff. That's a good way to go. Make sure the house looks like a giant statue of the owner. Then you could walk out of your own head. God, where do you come up with this stuff, Jordan? Which commercial did you see him in? He's been in a bunch of them. Yeah, I've been having fun kind of doing some of the weird things with the videos, things that maybe I didn't even know I could do. I got a couple ideas of things I want to try. You know, So I don't know. You may see some weird, strange video effects or something I might try. Who knows? We'll see. Like I said, I'm still having fun with this. Do my video blatantly wrong? You mean like edit it and edit it out of sequence or something like that? Make it look like a giant Quentin Tarantino movie? Yeah, I just to hang the flag. I just used a couple of tacking nails. Unfortunately, I didn't tap them that far into the drywall. I was actually able to pull them out and use the same nails when I moved them. So yeah, it's not really that big a deal. Big thing is you just want to kind of make sure it's oriented right. I found out the hard way that I had the flag backwards, so I had to change that. And then you also got to make sure it's level. And even that, I kind of got to do a little bit of work here. It's kind of walking away from the wall here. I'm assuming that that's perpendicular to the ground, although that was installed by the management, so I don't know. Did I get a horse yet? No, not yet. I don't think the horse would fit in the backyard, and it would definitely have problems with all the cactuses and palm trees and stuff back there. So, yeah, I think we'll have to wait on the horse for a while. Maybe they could share the room with the cats, so that'd be kind of funny. I don't know exactly what I am looking for job wise in Texas. Uh, I think I'm kind of to the point where I'm beyond where I want to work outside, especially in this heat. I did that for 10 years at Disney, and it just gets miserable outside. Especially during the summer. I'm not so much a problem with it during the winter because I guess I do better staying warm than staying cool. So whatever. But some sort of inside job. I've done tech support, phone work stuff, you know. So I don't know, something I could work inside. That'd be fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I do have a storage locker real close by, but it was funny when I was loading the stuff up. I had a choice. I didn't really have a choice, but this particular place had both air conditioned and non-air conditioned uh, storage lockers, and I chose one of the ones that wasn't air conditioned. And the guy made it very clear that I didn't want to put things like gasoline or chemicals or anything in there because he said in the summer it gets to be like 150 in there. So yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to work out of my storage locker. Um, that would be miserable. That would be worse than being outside. Am I going to be a Baylor fan? No, I don't know. I'm aware that it's here. I actually uh, have driven by it a couple times, but I don't know. I probably not. I'm assuming that's like a sports question. Uh, so and I've never really been into sports a whole bunch. My T-shirt is a reference to where I vlogged today, so you'll have to watch that. I'm not going to tell you too much more because I want you to watch the vlog. But it isn't from the tar pits; it's local here. How did I decide on Waco? I literally pulled up Google Maps, looked at satellite images, found a city that cities that looked like had good business districts, and Waco was the one that I picked up on, that I chose. Yeah, I learned that from the king. I'm glad you all watched. I'm still surprised that people watch this and that people seem to enjoy it as much. So Yeah, as long as you keep watching, I'll keep doing them. I'm having fun doing it. And I don't know, they may not be to the point where if I get a job, I'm doing, 10-minute videos every day, but we'll play it by ear. It might not even do one every day if I get to the point where I'm working like full time, but who knows? Maybe it'll just be one of those things that, I'll work 10 or 15 miles away from home and my vlog will just be me talking to the camera on the way home every night, talking about what's going on. Who knows? We'll find something to do. Yeah, it would be fun to work for the games. I've loved their show. About that was one of the, a lot of what I learned about, fixing things. I learned by watching shows like that. There were a whole bunch of shows early on when I was really getting serious about it. That it was, the premise was they'd go into someone whose house was, you know, you had, bad contractors that would go in and do things wrong or screw the people or quit in the middle of the job or something like that. And they'd go in and fix it and do it right. And you learn so much by watching those things. So I enjoyed doing them because, it taught me how to do the stuff around my house and enabled me to do so many of the things that I can do now. I don't have any formal training in this. I just, you know, practiced and experimented and saw what worked and asked questions and made mistakes and learned from them and went from there. Well, I ended up with that many goldfish just because, it was a big pond. There were like 300 of them. It was a 300-gallon pond, so you can't put 5 or 6 goldfish in a 300-gallon pond. So what I would do is every year in like late spring, early summer, I would just go to the goldfish store and buy 100 goldfish and put them in there. And, it just turned into its own little school in there. And it was cool because some of those fish had been there for 3 or 4 years, 5 years. Some of them were big. My uncle used to joke when he'd look at there, said some of those are getting to be fillet in size. So what did I do with the fish? Uh, the realtor contacted me at one point and said that the new owners didn't want them. So I, put some notices on social media, seeing if I could find somebody. But my realtor also went through one of her contacts, and within a couple of hours, I think, of her posting that hey, she had some goldfish, I had a guy call me, and he initially called and said, "Well, I'd like to come over and look at him," and so we'll be there in a couple hours. And then a couple hours later, I get a call from the guy. Said, "Yeah, we're coming over to pick him up." And I said, "Okay, you were saying you wanted to look at him first. Do you want him now? Because if so, I'll just start catching them and putting them in a bucket for you." He said, "Yeah, I want them." And 30 minutes later, they were gone. So, yeah, that was fast. Do I see myself as a Texan yet? No, I don't have a cowboy hat. So no, not yet. But I'm working on it. I'm still waiting to hear someone talk with a Texas drawl, though. I always thought that was going to be such a stereotype, and I haven't heard any of that. I believe the goldfish had a good home. The person that took him had several koi ponds already and several goldfish ponds. So my understanding is they got added to an existing school of fish. So yeah, I hope they're happy. I hope they're good. Like I said, the key thing was I wanted to find somebody that would take care of them. I didn't want somebody that was just going to feed them to something else or something like that. That's no good. Yeah, belt buckle. You're right. You need a belt buckle too. Probably cowboy boots. I got the jeans. I'm good on that front. Yeah, I don't know. When we came through East Texas, I don't even remember that much of that because yeah, I was over there. I've kind of been all over Texas now in the past few months. Yeah, cowboy boots and shirts. That's definitely the look in Texas. Thanks, Lorraine. That's nice. Yeah, I'm counting on that air conditioning working. It looks like there's a new compressor outside of my building, so maybe that was one of the things they did. It has worked pretty well. It's pretty cool in here. Um, and I've been running the AC a lot because it's been really hot, 80s and 90s every day. It takes forever to cool down too. What do I do for a living? Nothing right now. I'm kind of in between jobs. I'm technically still employed with Disney, but I'm not getting any hours. So, you know, no, not as much rain as I'd like to get. I'd love to see more, but we've had a few rainstorms, so that was nice. No, never married, not yet. Haven't found the right person. Got to find somebody that can tolerate me. Yeah, I would guess that probably that's a lot of what air conditioning repair is these days, just replacing filters. Because most people, are completely oblivious to the technology in their house, even simple things like changing a filter. Yeah, we've had a couple of rainstorms. I think I've done my best to cover all of them a little bit, but none of them have really been like long term things. It's a lot like California, where you just have kind of a band of rain that blows through, and they get stronger here, a lot stronger here. It really pours, but unfortunately, maybe it's just this part of the year, but it just gets to the point where. It's in and it's out again real quick. No, no feedback at all from Disney. I haven't talked to Disney since I arrived in Texas. I expect that next time I hear from them, it'll be because they say, "Oh, we scheduled for you for something and you didn't show up." Yeah, sorry, I'm in another state. Not gonna. Right across the freeway. I'll check that out. I think I know what you're talking about. It. I think I saw that. Right now, a lot of I've been staying like just within a couple of miles of my house for the most part. I'm still trying to get the bearings of where everything is here, but I'm kind of to the point now where I can find my way around to different places that I go on a regular basis, and that's what's needed. And then I'll kind of learn where new things are. But right now, everything I've needed to know, I've been able to find. It's all been real close, so that's good. Oh, got people tuning out already. Yeah, I didn't really want anything to do with the Star Wars land, with Disneyland. Just you know, I'm just kind of over the place. Yeah, I know that. That's sort of I'm concerned about that too. This is really going to be an experiment to see how much the electricity is going to be, because I expect it's going to be bad. I'm doing my best to not really use it except when I need it. And so, I'm starting later and later in the day. If I can go to noon or 1 o'clock before I turn on the air conditioning and have it off by 5 or 6, and hopefully it won't be too bad. But yeah, I'm concerned that's going to be a real issue. That might be my one incentive, maybe to get solar panels on the house when I buy a house, because if I could power air conditioning with solar electricity, then it wouldn't be such a pain. Yeah, I know 1,000. I'm getting a lot of my videos have 1,000 views or more, which is really cool. I'm really surprised at this point that I have so many views, and it's stunning because people are starting to go back now and watch the older videos. So the ones that maybe didn't get all the views at the beginning, people are starting to go back and watch them. I guess, now that you know how the middle of the story is going, you want to kind of see where things started. I'm guessing probably a bunch of you started kind of in the middle and now have to kind of go back and figure out how we got here. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me with a TV show or something. I start in the middle, it's like, okay, so how did we get here? Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Flash is chilling with my parents in California right now. They seem to really enjoy her, and I guess they're treating her, they're spoiling her rotten. Now, a couple years ago, when I was at my house, she got out of the yard and made it down the block to one of the neighbors' houses. And ironically, they had a tortoise, but they also had like a 4-year-old daughter. And the 4-year-old daughter just loved Flash. And all the time her mom said, "Oh yeah, she was always out there feeding her strawberries and feeding her grapes and all this stuff." And she loved having Flash around. And it was funny because when I got her back, I could tell everything that I was told was true because her face was just literally stained red from all the strawberries she'd eaten. Yeah, that's been happening again lately. My parents are spoiling her. That's a funny story about where Flash came from. I've had Flash for, oh, I don't know, probably 30, 35 years. Ever since I was living at home with my parents. And I think this was when I was like going to college or when I had my college job. And I was, my job started like 10 in the morning. So my mom one morning was on her way to her job, and she went out and pulled the car out of the garage and was getting ready to drive away. And she saw what looked like a rock walking down the front sidewalk. And she came out and came into the house and got me and said, "Hey, there's a tortoise out here. You ought to come and get it." And we grabbed it, brought it in the backyard, and kind of kept an eye out for a while for like lost tortoise signs, and nobody ever claimed her. So we just kept her, and I've had her ever since. Like I said, we've had her for 30 or 35 years. And I believe probably she's probably older than I am. She's probably 60 or 65. I don't know. And I don't know, she may outlive me. So I don't know. We'll see. She'll definitely have to be in the will somehow. What I really like about her though is she's just such a low maintenance pet. It's like you don't have to do anything with her. You don't even need to feed her. When I had her in the backyard, she just fed on the stuff in the yard, and she was always happy and chomping around. I had a lot of flowers that she liked to eat, and so she'd you know munch on them and enjoy those. In fact, I had an odd succulent plant that I had that she liked so much that I actually had to make barricades around it because she was eating it so much that she was actually in the process of killing it. And it was such a slow growing plant that as she got in there, she'd just kind of wedge her way under it and she'd end up uprooting everything. So, ended up putting barricades around there so she couldn't get in there. Or she could just get to the edges. Then if it grew outside of the barricade, she could have that. But she couldn't get into the middle to uproot everything. Yeah, yeah, she's just a really low maintenance pet. Like I said, the day she got out and wandered down the street, I didn't even realize she was gone until I saw that they put a sign up saying, "Hey, we found a tortoise. Is it yours?" And so I don't know. So I immediately went home and went into the backyard and started looking at all our hiding places. I couldn't find her. So, and I knew that a couple of days earlier that I had the gate open for a little while. Sometimes when I'm working in the backyard or, going back and forth between the front and the backyard, I'd leave the gate open. And I try and keep a close eye on her just because, she's faster than you think she is. It wouldn't be the first time that she'd gotten out. And apparently she got out that time and I didn't see her. So I don't know. Just got to be real careful with her, I guess. Just flash drive, ba boom. I should have a flash page like Jaws page, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you ought to set one up because Jaws page wasn't actually set up by Jordan, anyone associated with him. That was just one of the fans that did that. Well, I appreciate you watching, Gene. That it's flattering beyond belief that you do that everyone watches it and has is so kind and so supportive on all this. I can't believe how far this has gone. Even Jordan has commented a number of times on how fast things are happening. It's like, yeah, buddy, that's because of you. They aren't watching. They wouldn't be watching me for me. At least not at this point. They're watching me because they know me from your vlog, and so like 99% of whatever I've gotten here, it's all been because of him. I mean, even looking now, 135 people watching right now. That's amazing. I never would have imagined that I could just go on in the middle of the evening on a Friday and so many people will pop in to say hi. Yeah, Jordan's been a great friend and been very, very supportive in all this. Like I said, I wouldn't have made it past vlog episode number 2 if it wasn't for him. I probably wouldn't have done number 1 because I never would have heard of it. Jordan was the first one that ever really introduced me to vlogging. I well, no, I'm not necessarily selling myself short. Maybe a little bit, but this has become as big as it has, as quickly as it has, because of all of Jordan's fans watching. Maybe if I started doing this, maybe if I put in the hours like Jordan did early on in his with his vlog, I would build it up to this. But the fact that I've done it in about 2 months is just it's unprecedented. Even Jordan comments on that. He mentioned a couple of days ago that it was really surprising that I have a lot of videos that have like 1,000 views. He said it was like months and months and months and months before that happened to him. But then again, he didn't have a friend's coattails to ride on, so just further proof that it often isn't what you know, but who you know, right? Yeah, that's what makes Jordan's vlog so good is that he does what he loves. You can tell that everything he talks about, he loves it, and that's often the reason why he doesn't give a whole lot of where he doesn't take a lot of suggestions. Because if somebody makes a suggestion and he's not really into it, he's not going to do a good vlog on it. It's the fact that he cares and loves the subject so much is why he's as good at it as he is. I hope I get to the point where I'm as good at vlogging as he is. In terms of bringing you along when I look at real estate, like I said, the main issue is just going to be keeping privacy. I don't want to show the outside of the house that I might buy because I don't want people showing up at the door. You never know what happens with that. But who knows? I might bring you inside, let you see some of the things, or see things maybe that you wouldn't be able to figure out what it is from outside the house. I don't know. We'll play it. That's a ways away. We're at least 6 months away from now. But we'll play it by ear. Hopefully, I'll be a little smoother with doing these vlogs at that point where I'm a little bit more comfortable uh, getting things done. But you know what? Whatever. We're having fun now, right? Yeah, I guess somebody of the vloggers, because I was hearing like Jordan talk about how Adam and Carpetbagger and all that have had problems and had people that tried to destroy their jobs or whatever. I guess there was some guy that was calling Carpetbagger's job and trying to get him fired and stuff like that. And it's just there's people out there that like that. We had to delete a troll just a little bit ago. It's just they got nothing better to do. You know, and sometimes the worst thing you can do is engage with them because that's really what they want. They want attention. Yeah, yeah. When I see them go through, I'm blocking them, and there've been a couple who've been blocked. But the truth is, sometimes when I'm talking, I'm not even looking at the camera or not even looking at the messages that come through. So it's possible something slips through. I don't even see it. But if I do see it, or just people out there saying stupid things, or things that have nothing to do with anything, then we'll go from there. We'll deal with them one at a time. Send them out on a rail. I've been really lucky so far though, because I mean, it's been for the troll situation, it's been really minor. I think I've deleted one post from any of the videos I've done, and blocked a couple people on the live streams, but that's really been the end of it. I haven't had anywhere near the problem that Jordan has, and I think it's probably because a lot of the people that are watching me right now are kind of the real serious fans of him and of Jordan and all that. And I think probably you've already kind of made it through the inner sanctum because you all kind of learned about me and learned about this vlog through the Facebook page. And it's a little harder to get into the Facebook page than it is just to be on the YouTube, because anyone can see the YouTube, but you got to actually get permission to come onto the Facebook page. And so I think that kind of screens some of the people out a little bit, and you end up with less of that. Because, like I said, all of you so far have been really, really nice. What's my favorite dish to cook? My family came out of Minnesota, so you can't come from Minnesota and not love fish. And so I love fish. I'm a huge fan of like salmon and walleye. There's all sorts of walleye in Minnesota, so I love that. But really, I like just about any kind of fish. Uh, but probably what I cook for myself most is salmon. And I usually just it's a lemon juice, coat it with lemon juice, olive oil, and some fresh garlic, and that's usually pretty good. Maybe grind up a little parsley or even like rosemary. Rosemary is really good. I chop that up and kind of marinate the meat with it. Very good. Oh yes, oh yes, Scandinavian blood, big time. My mother especially, from my mother's side. No, I never lived in Minnesota. My parents both came from Minnesota, and they moved out here just before I was born. They were married, and then like 6 months later, my father relocated out here, and then my mom came out here, and then I was born, and so yeah, no, I've lived in California all my life. This was my first time out of California. I don't know about Oktoberfest. Is Oktoberfest a big thing in the Texas area? Possible, I guess. Never went to a whole lot of them in California. I did go with Jordan. We went to Old World. Was it last year or the year before? That was a lot of fun. We had a great time at that. But yeah, if they had one here, I mean, I love beer. I love German food. So see, my mom is Scandinavian, and my father is German, Czechoslovakian. So and Polish and a bunch of other things. So yeah, I love the German food too. I'll have to check it out then if it's a big thing in Texas. I guess I'll start seeing more about it when we start getting close. Hill County has a lot of Germans, huh? Good to know. No, Breck is something that my mom liked, and I don't know. It's not, being named after a shampoo caused an enormous amount of pain when I was a child, so I was never a fan of the name. A lot of times, I still go by my middle name. It just, especially when I'm like in a restaurant and they say, "Oh, okay, what name should we put on the order?" It's like, I'll go with the middle name because it's just easier to go with that than to have to go Breck. Yeah, Breck. No, not Brick. No, not Brent. No, Breck. It just gets old after a while. So yeah, it's just a sore spot with me. It still bugs me a little bit. I guess I'm more or less over it, but you know, it, I was not a fan of it, especially when I was a kid, because kids are mean. All right, welcome back, Jeff. Glad you could come back. Well, right now the only Afghan I have is this one, and if I remember correctly, my grandmother, I believe, was someone who liked to do a lot of knitting. And when she passed away, she had a lot of yarn that she hadn't knitted into something. So another relative took custody of that and made all these Afghans for all of the grandkids. And so that was the one I got. And I really like that one. Actually, I actually have another one that I keep put away because it's it's like 100 years old and it's really delicate. And I'd love to have it out, but it's just I got to have some restoration work done on it. It's in really bad shape, and I definitely don't want to lose that one. It's like 100 years old, and I'd be really sad if that was lost. Yeah, the tie dye was done around the same time. It wasn't done at the same time. It was done a few days later. Um, because I've always kind of kept a bed sheet on the sofa just to keep the cat hair off of it, and I'd never used a brand new one. It was just always some old one that I had floating around. And at one point, the old one just had been ripped up and it wasn't in good shape anymore. So I decided I wanted to make one, and I started thinking, I wonder if I could do a tie-dyed bed sheet. And well, I could. Took a lot more ink than a T-shirt does because a lot more material on a bed sheet, but it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was like I said, Jordan wasn't directly involved with this one, but you know he went over to my house and we did all those tie dye shirts, and I think I wore one a couple days ago, and that was one of the ones we made at that. Oh, you got one of the shirts? That's awesome. Which one did you get, Jeff? I don't know. Maybe it'd be nice if you could put a picture up, but I guess you can't do that on this. Tyler Rose Garden, is that in Waco or is that somewhere else? In terms of doing a vlog on how to do the tie dye, Jordan already did one of those. I think the day that we made some of those T-shirts, we went through the whole process. Basically, it's really simple to do. And when we did it, we just went online and went to YouTube and said, start and typed in instructions for making tie dye. And there's several different patterns that you can do, and it walks you through the process of doing it. I always love the ones that have the spiral versus the ones that are like concentric circles. That's just me. But I have a few of each. Oh yeah, I saw the pink Texas road trip shirt. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, I got one of the black ones. Orlando sent me one of those a couple days ago. He's a great guy, and I think we're going to probably do a "That's Not How It's Done" T-shirt at some point. I got to call him and talk to him. That was another one of Jordan's really great ideas. Uh, so yeah, I got to talk to him about that. Yeah, I know. I never really thought about going to YouTube for things, but man, it's the it's you can find out anything about anything on YouTube pretty much. I mean that's also a downside too because you don't know if the person who's talking doesn't know what they're talking about. I wouldn't want to see a vlog, for instance, on home improvement done by the maintenance staff in this place, right? In terms of the shirts, I think a lot of times, you can you can do whatever color shirt you want. I think it's just an issue of which ones that they have the blanks on. Because my understanding is they basically kind of make each shirt almost custom, custom made for you. So it's just a matter of do I have an extra large or whatever size you need in this color? It's like, yeah, okay, there it is, print it, off it goes. Yeah, see, like I said, you can learn anything. Here's a guy that's learning how to rebuild a carburetor just by watching YouTube. Like I said, you can find anything. There've been times where I've like wanted to buy something and just went out and just started looking in YouTube and get all sorts of reviews and you can show people using it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a great resource. Yeah, that's the big thing. You got to kind of know what your limits are, in terms of things. There's things that I'm willing to tackle and things that I'm not willing to tackle in terms of home improvement. Uh, exterior plumbing like sprinklers and stuff like that. I'm a whiz at that. That's really easy. But when it comes to like copper piping in the walls, if you don't do that exactly right, it's a big mess and you can make it much worse. And you really got to be an expert to do that. So it's like I said, it's a matter of knowing what your limits are. Bye, Jenny. Yeah, I learned a long time ago that you'll save yourself so much money if you just learn how to do so many of these things. Because so many of these things are just stupidly simple to do. It's just especially electrical. People get totally freaked out by electrical, but if you know what you're doing, you know what not to touch. You're fine. So just keep yourself not grounded and don't close the circuit. And you'll be fine. Yeah, well, so far it's just been the drawers, but who knows? Maybe something else some point. Can I fix cars? Well, no, not really. I know a little bit, but for the most part, I can do basic things like, tires. I've had a lot of experience with this car, having to deal with tires. I can do brakes and I can do, change the oil and stuff like that. But you get beyond that, I'll usually go to the experts to do it. The experts these days, if you got companies out there like Jiffy Lube or something like that, they can do the maintenance on your car quicker and better than you can do it, and do it for relatively cheap. So, a lot of times I do that. It's easier. Plus, the fact is sometimes you need like special equipment to deal with cars and stuff like that, and that can be expensive too. I have fixed some parade floats, not officially because I'm not technically supposed to touch any of the parade floats because the people who do it are unions and are union people, and that's technically crossing union lines. But I did it once or twice. No, the kitties are already here. I did a vlog on that a couple weeks ago about their arrival. They arrived about 2 days after I arrived because when Jordan and I showed up in Waco that first night, I flew back to California the next day and then flew back here the day after that with the cats. So that was that was a little bit of complicated because we were too late to meet the initial schedule because they needed something that I didn't have, and there wasn't time to do it before the check-in time. So they ended up having to stay a couple days at a local vet and be boarded there uh, so that we could get them out here. And the first day it got delayed because they didn't have all their vet checks. And then the next day, the airport has a policy that they won't move animals if the temperature's above 80 degrees Fahrenheit or below 20 degrees Fahrenheit or something. And I guess that day the temperature got up to 81, so they wouldn't move them that day. So it was actually 2 days after I arrived before I was able to pick them up. And so I went in at like midnight on like 2 days after. I think it was like I got here on a Thursday. I went home, flew back to California on a Friday, flew back to Texas on Saturday. I think it was Monday night that I went up to Dallas Fort Worth Airport to pick up the cats, and we vlogged that a little bit. You'll see them. It's the episode that has the picture of Nibble through the window of her cat carrier. Easy to find. It's back there. They were technically considered cargo, but they don't put them in the cargo bay of the airplane anymore. Apparently, there were just too many problems, so they ship them in a pressurized cargo container. So it's just like being in an airplane, like being in the pressurized part of the airplane, and that's the only way they'll do that right now. It was obscenely expensive, though. In comparison, it cost me what I think $250 each way to fly back and forth between Los Angeles and Dallas. In comparison, it was $500 a piece for them. So that was a big chunk of money. And I hope they were feeding them like caviar and steak or something like that. But I'm sure they weren't. I'm keeping the temperature set at about 78. I don't want to go too crazy, but I've discovered that this air conditioner is different from a lot of them. A lot of times, what you do is the thermostat determines, hey, it's too hot in here, and it turns on the air conditioning until the temperature drops down to the minimum level, and then it stops. This one doesn't seem to work this way. This one actually seems to heat the air to the temperature of the thermostat, and then it just constantly pumps out that temperature air. So it doesn't ever turn on and off. It's always on, and it's always just pumping in air at a particular temperature. I don't know why that is, or if that's more expensive or less expensive, but that's just the way it is. I'm sure it was less expensive because it looks like a really cheap thermostat. It doesn't even have a clock on it. So, you can't tell, turn it on at a certain time of day, turn it off at a certain time of day. It doesn't do any of that. And I don't think I've ever heard it turn off until I turn it off. Yeah, sorry, Tony. I don't know if I did see your comment. A lot of times when I'm talking, I'm not looking at the screen. So yeah, no, none of the flex time. Yeah, we had those in California, rolling blackouts, but they had a more politically correct term, I guess it was flex time. So yeah, I appreciate those of you who are stopping in the middle of your night. I've been thinking maybe I might do a live stream more geared towards people like over in Europe, so you're not having to be up at 2 or 3 in the morning to watch this. Because I bet you I could do one early in the morning, and that would like be mid or late afternoon for a lot of people in Europe. I've been thinking about that. We may do that at some point. Most of my viewers are in the United States or in Canada, but there's a lot of people in Europe too, so it wouldn't hurt to show them a little love. It's always hot in Florida this time of year. I don't know specifically, but I'm sure it is. It's hot here. Yeah, see, I don't see any upper or lower range on my thermostat. Basically, all it is, there's a auto and on, and then heat and cold, and then just a couple of buttons to set the temperature, and then everything else is done that. There's no clock in it, no none of that. So where is it going to be 109? As long as it's not 109 here, I'll be happy. Yeah, I've been in Florida in the summer. You're right, it gets humid there. And the bugs, holy cow, some of those bugs, some of the biggest spiders I ever saw were in Florida. Some of those mosquitoes, they'll pick you up and carry you away. Yeah, if you don't like the heat, Vegas is probably the worst place in the world to be. Actually, no, I can think of a worse place. Death Valley. Yeah, yeah, that's where you don't want to be if you don't like the heat. Ah, but you know what they say? It's a dry heat. That makes all the difference. Yeah, San Jose gets really hot too. I haven't been to Lake Mead for a while, but I think it's fed by the Colorado River, so I'm pretty sure it still has water. Because Lake Mead, if I'm not incorrect, is only exists because of the dam, and so yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still got water. Hi, Nancy. I'm a celebrity. Well, I'm working on it. Yeah, it's funny you say you can get sunburn in the car. I used to have a job where I would be a courier driving around picking up stuff from a laboratory, and I'd always drive around with my left arm hanging out the window, and yeah, my left arm was always tanner than my right arm. So yeah, you're right there. Yeah, I know. I expect that we're going to get some real heat in here in Waco, but that's part of the reason why I kind of want to get a job that's inside. I can deal with it if I don't have to be out in it all the time. Also known as a redneck tan, right? My channel is called "Escaping the Mouse." As a matter of fact, just today I was looking at the settings on my page, and it was showing me that I'm eligible now to have a custom address as my so you don't have to remember this big long weird string of numbers. So right now it's www.youtube.com/C/escaping the mouse. So if you can't remember, that's an easy way to find it. Or you can just always go into the search engine and type escaping the mouse and you'll find me. Everyone else is, I guess. Yeah, I was in Killeen just about a week or so ago when we did the vlog at the cemetery for what was it, Memorial Day? That was in Killeen. Yeah, 126 minutes so far. Yeah, 100 and 128 viewers, so that's good. I like that. You get, like I said, what I really want to do right now is get the the total hour views up. Because if I can get up 4,000, I'm like 3820 right now. And between that and 1,000 subscribers, which hopefully should happen in the next couple of days, then I can monetize this and we can start doing some, getting a little cash out of this, which would be nice. Yeah, the mammoth video. That was a little different today. That was where this shirt came from, by the way. I'd uh, I'd seen that the first day I arrived in town when I was looking for like grocery stores and gas stations and all the stuff I was going to need initially. I just called up a map and started looking. One of the first things I found was one of the first things I saw on the map was this mammoth center. It's like, oh wow, I got to go check that out. That looks like that'll be fun. Um, and yeah, it was really cool. I was pleasantly surprised. It was better than I thought it would. I'd looked at the area on the map and it didn't really look like much. It looked like it was just one building. But yeah, that building's where it's all at. It was an interesting story because apparently in like the 70s, there were these two guys that were just kind of walking along the Bosque River looking for like arrowheads and stuff like that. And they saw this big giant bone sticking out of the side of the ravine. And they dug it up and they found out it was like a femur bone to a mammoth. And from that point on, they sent more people back and dug the whole thing up and found like 30 different animals that were there that had all kind of been died. They all died at once. I guess they're saying that maybe a flash flood blew through there, killed them all, and just kind of buried them. And they were forgotten until they popped out. And they've been trying forever now to try and save the area because for a long time they just had kind of a tarp over the excavation site, and so many of the fossils were starting to degrade. And I guess just recently, like about 10 years ago, somebody finally broke down and they built a big structure around the dig site now. So everything's being preserved and it's dry in there and there's no more moisture. So hopefully they're going to find some more stuff. Who knows? They were saying that among other things, they found a tooth of a smilodon, which is a saber-toothed cat. This one was actually a saber-toothed kitten that they found. They found just the tooth, and normally the teeth, get, in an adult get to 8, 10, 12 inches in length. Well, this one was only about 2 inches in length. And they found just the kitten, or just that tooth, and it was right on the edge of the site. So they think that maybe the rest of the smilodon is in the face, and they just haven't gotten to it. But apparently they stopped digging there a number of years ago and haven't really resumed yet. So they're all kind of looking forward to when they do resume because a lot of people want to see if the rest of that cat's in there. Well, I don't know about the meteor that created the Gulf. First off, I assume you're talking about the meteor that took out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. You got to remember these dinosaur or these uh, mammoths died 50 or 60,000 years ago, not 60 million years ago. So, no, it probably isn't that. And second of all, that meteor didn't really create the Gulf. It just, that's where it hit. Yeah, I question the wisdom of doing a live stream at the same time my vlog was posting. Probably going to get a bunch of people that aren't going to watch stuff initially, but whatever. You'll get to it eventually. I see a bunch of names there that are the regulars on the vlog, so I'm sure you'll catch up with it. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Let's see if we can get it over. Let's see if we can get it over 1,000. That'd be fun. That was sort of the reason I did this. Yeah, I kind of enjoy doing the live streams. It seems like people like them, and you keep coming in, you asking questions. And yeah, sometimes the same questions are asked over and over again, but that's cool. People are dropping in at different times, and so you know what? I'll keep doing these as long as people keep checking in and watching, asking questions. No, I'm probably not going to do a PO box. It was the same thing with that Jordan ran into. He doesn't, you don't want, there's just people start sending you stuff that maybe you don't need, and you know, or you don't, or they get angry. You send them something and then you don't acknowledge it or something like that. So it's just easier not to do it. And the truth is, I really have everything at this point I need. Um, that may change at some point. I may end up doing a wish list, or set up a Patreon or do some merch. Jordan's been suggesting I do a "That's Not How It's Done" T-shirt, and I think that's a really good idea. We probably end up doing that, and I ought to be able to monetize here hopefully in a couple of days. Um, well, at least be eligible to do it. I guess I have to do some paperwork. It sometimes takes about a month to process that. But we're going to do that at some point. Maybe we'll start seeing a little income on this. So I don't know. Am I an archaeologist? No, just a fan. I wouldn't mind going and digging some of that stuff up, but I never have. I actually, in terms of like earth sciences, I'm more into geology than archaeology. And even there, it was just it's like the big things. I'm really into like volcanoes and earthquakes and stuff like that. That's probably why I stayed with California as long as I did. But they earthquakes freak me out. Something about 100 million cubic meters of rock just getting up and moving on its own. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of your kind words. I mean, you're all so positive and encouraging, and that's what makes this even continue on is the fact that I really feel I really feel the love from you guys. I appreciate that. It was funny when I was over at the Mammoth Museum today. They had a rock tumbler there, and I was thinking about that how I wanted to have one when I was a kid. Uh, yeah, not so much anymore, but it was fun at the time. Where did I go to school? When I got, I have a recording engineering degree. I think I talked about that in my disc, my compact disc manufacturing vlog. But I went to Golden West Community College in Huntington Beach in the early to mid '80s and got my recording engineering degree. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, when I started working at Disney, I figured even then this isn't going to be a long-term thing. And so I started thinking about, doing computer science because I'm a big computer nerd and all that. And I figured, whatever, that's something maybe that'd be easy to, get into, with all my experience because I've been doing computers for forever. And as it turned out, I was working full time at the time, and it just it was too much between the class time and the full time work and the homework and all that. It was too much, and I ultimately ended up having to stop because I was only taking one or two classes a semester, and at that rate, I was going to retire before I graduated. So I decided, and in addition to that, I was like giving up hours, um, when I was doing that. So, I just decided it was better off for me to just stop doing the school stuff and work full time. I love going to school. If I had the free time, if I had a job that was comfortable and I was supporting myself, I'd probably just go take some classes that I really love doing because, you know, even even when I was, doing my schooling a couple of years ago, there were some classes that I really enjoyed. One of them was my geology class, so I wouldn't mind learning to do more of that. And I suspect, the professor and I had kind of become friends, um, and so I could have seen, maybe he and I going out and doing some work sometime. But it never worked out. So whatever. Hi Dee, thanks for stopping in. The cats have claimed their favorite place. It's the closet upstairs. But uh, Bite, when this couch was at home, Bite used to always sleep right here. In fact, there's kind of an indented spot in the cushion right now because of that. And so Bite has discovered that again, and that's his place to do. It's interesting too. When Jaw would come over and visit, Jaw would stay in that same place. He found that same cushion, and he would sleep there all the time too. So that was a trip. Yeah, I thought about welding too. In fact, right before I stopped going to school, the last semester, I actually did take an introductory welding class. Didn't really have the steady hand to do the arc welding, but I was pretty good at the gas welding, the oxyacetylene welding. That's usually what you do with the more sheet metal and that kind of stuff. Where arc welding is like more the hardcore metal and the heavy stuff. But I found I just didn't have really a steady hand for the arc welding, and so my welds always looked really bad. Yeah, I do a little writing too. I don't have any real I don't have any real training on that. It was something that I kind of learned. I used to like argue in political forums, stuff like that, and I kind of became what I thought was a decent writer on that. Had fun with that. Do you like any current musical groups? Um, there's a few bands out there. Like I don't know, not necessarily current. I'm not really listening to a lot of music now. Uh, I am a fan of a band called Guided by Voices, and in fact, I run a website dedicated to them. It's a fan site that I've been running for 10 or 12 years with a friend of mine, and I do that. I really kind of appreciate the band because it's music that I like. The guy's an older guy. He's a little older than I am, and does a lot of like great rock songs, and he's into rock, and he's into punk, and he's into prog, and he's into psychedelic and all that. And that's a lot of the stuff I'm into. So I enjoy doing that, and he's just an incredibly prolific musician. Most people you ask who's the most prolific artist you could think of, and they'll think of like Bob Dylan or Lennon McCartney or someone like that. But this guy smokes both of them. This smokes them both combined. This guy has 100 albums out, tens of thousands of songs and recordings. He's been recording since he was like 7 or 8 years old. It's really amazing. He'll put out 4 or 5 albums a year. He was once quoted as saying that he can write 5 good songs while sitting on the pot, and that 3 of them will be good. Yep, Guided by Voices. That's the one. Out of Dayton, Ohio. That was how I met Jordan, by the way. I met him at a Guided by Voices show. There's a vlog on that too, dating back. He's been my only guest on it, so look for the one with his picture. You won't be able to miss him. I took a little computer programming, and not enough to become good at it, but I was decent at it. I guess I impressed my professor because I would come up with solutions that even he wouldn't come up to with problems. So, I knew enough, and I have a decent logical mind, but I didn't practice enough of the programming to actually become good at it yet. I suspect I could, but I haven't really worked on it for a while. Do you play PC? What, the PC computer? If so, yes, everything I do is on a PC. I'm talking to you on a PC right now. PC versus Mac, I'm a PC person. Somebody was mentioning a while back that the video was pixelating. Is it looking better now? Or did anyone else see that? Because everything looks fine on this end, but who knows? Okay, so gaming, no, I'm not really a gamer. I think the last gaming console I had was a Sega Genesis, which is way, 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 way back. I've never had a PlayStation. I've never had a Wii. I've never had any of the. I don't even know what they are sometimes. Yep, that is a Texas state flag above me. It's funny, I lived my whole life in California and never once had a California flag. But the first day I was in Texas, I knew I'd have a Texas flag. I actually bought that at the Billy the Kid Museum that Jordan and I had vlogged on our Texas trip. Yeah, as soon as I get the iron here, I gotta iron it. It looks awful right now. Still looks like it did coming out of the bag. But I don't have an iron yet. I guess that's in one of the other pods. I don't remember. I don't remember what I put in each of them. I have a general idea what's in where, but something little like the iron, I don't know if that ended up in the second or the first pod. So we'll figure it out. It's probably in the first pod. Yeah, I don't know if I remember what the Pennsylvania flag looks like. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, PDXer. So far, I really do feel like I've made the right move in Texas. I really like it here a lot. The people are really nice. I think once I get to the point where I do have a job, I think I'll like working here really well too. It's gonna be fun. What was my favorite cartoon growing up? I guess I was a Tom and Jerry fan. Although I like the Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny, the Daffy Duck, all those, all of that stuff, all the stuff that Mel Blanc did. And then later on, I was like into Simpsons and Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead. Love Beavis and Butthead. They still make me laugh. South Park, huge South Park fan. Good night, Jane. Good. Thanks for stopping by. Do I have any favorite TV shows? I mentioned before that I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, so I watch a lot of those. There was a TV series on, I think, Showtime called Entourage that I became a huge fan of. In fact, I actually went out and bought the entire series. So that's one of the few series I've ever run into that I could just put it on and watch, every episode from beginning to end. I'll plow through the whole series in like a month or 6 weeks or something like that, and finish it up with a movie. So yeah, I really like that. That was a great series. So many great characters on that. Yeah, I like characters. I like in Entourage. I like the character Lloyd, and I like the interaction between him and Ari. I really was a huge fan of Johnny Drama. He always could make me laugh. Yeah, thanks. I've been collecting movies for a long time. Before it was DVDs. Like I said, I used to work at a company that made laser discs, so I had a pretty sizable laser disc collection. In fact, when Jordan and I went to Vegas last time, which was just a few months ago, we stopped off at Kenny Irwin's over at Robo Lights in Palm Springs, and I decided to give him about probably 90% of my laser discs because I didn't have a player anymore, and the ones I had I'd already replaced on DVD or Blu-ray. So I figured, get a big thing looks like a CD that's that big around. I'm sure Kenny will come up with something real cool. And since he's got to relocate anyway, he's going to need a whole bunch of new materials. So we borrowed my dad's Escalade, and basically we just packed that thing up with everything that I had extra and everything Jordan had extra. My father even had me bringing some of his extra stuff down. And we stopped off in Palm Springs at his place and dropped off all that stuff, and it was great. I look forward to seeing what he does with it. No, I haven't heard bite, but there's some kids playing outside. There's kind of a big open area right outside, and I think that may have been what you heard. There was a kid right outside the door a couple minutes ago. I'm actually surprised. Usually, when there's talking going on here, the cats come down and visit, and I haven't seen them yet. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't counted how many DVDs I have. I know a number of years ago I had so many of them that I ended up doing a little woodwork where I built my own DVD rack. And at the time, I tried to figure out how many DVDs I had at the time and how much more my collection was likely to grow. And yeah, I missed that by a long ways. So what I have now is basically the stuff that's downstairs are the DVDs that I watch on a regular basis, and then I have another stack of DVDs that eventually will go upstairs that are the things that maybe aren't used all the time, but I want to keep a hold of. I may end up building a bigger rack at some point. Yeah, I had fun doing the Blazing Saddles one with Jordan too. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed climbing up to the top of that thing. I knew that Jordan was never going to do that because he is no fan whatsoever of heights. But yeah, I don't have a VHS player anymore. Everything's digital now for the most part. Yeah, the Noel Blanc vlog. Even I watched that. Or even I enjoyed that one. It was funny because before I watched it, that was like a day or two before Jordan and I left on our Texas trip. And while we were driving one day, Jordan said, "Hey, you want to hear the interview? You know, it's really more important to hear it than see it. You want to hear the interview, and he played both of them for me, and it was a fascinating interview. A lot of people don't know this, but the teaser at the end of the first episode, yeah, that was completely unintentional. Uh, the Jordan said that this thing turned out to be like a stream of consciousness kind of thing, and Jordan was looking at his camera and saying, "Okay, my battery is going to die. I got to figure out some point to cut this off." And it turns out where it cut off on the video and where he broke it up for the second part, that was just where the battery gave up the ghost. And so he just looked at that and played it back and said, "Okay, well that's a perfect segue. We'll just tie into that for the next day." And he just picked it up and ran with it, and that was how that happened. All right, we're coming up on 2 hours again. Wow, this goes fast. Can't believe it's been going for 2 hours. That means my last video has already been up for almost an hour now. Oh, that was one of the things I looked at when I was out here a few months ago was housing prices. Um, mainly what I was looking at houses, I was looking down here around Waco, and right on the kind of west shore, west side of Waco is Lake Waco, and it turned out all the houses I were looking at the time were right down there, like almost walking distance to the lake, and so they were a little bit more expensive. But I was seeing houses for two and a half or $300,000 down there, and they were pretty nice houses, and some of them were like lakefront property or really near lakefront property. And since that isn't really a high priority to me, I'm thinking if I move a little bit away from the lake, maybe get a little bit away from town even, the thing that would be important to me would be to have maybe some property. I would love to have a big yard, a big backyard that, maybe, the Flash could run around in, and maybe have a dog or something like that. I wouldn't mind having a property that was an acre or even bigger. I've always lived in a postage stamp backyard. Uh, at least compared to many places in the United States. I had a bigger backyard than probably anyone in my neighborhood, but still, I would always love having more because I always had new plants that I wanted to plant. It's like, well, I don't know where to put them. Where can I put them? I'm out of space. If I had an acre or something big, huge lot, a lot of room to grow, literally. Yeah, I have thought about planting my own vegetables. That would be fun too. I love doing that, and if I had a big enough property where maybe not like full on farming, but grow my own lettuce, grow my own tomatoes, grow my own whatever, stuff for my own use. That would be very useful. I also wouldn't mind having some fruit trees. We had a peach tree in my parents' backyard when I was a kid, and I loved that. They kind of got over it because they didn't want to have to deal with having to deal with all the fruit that you were growing, because it just keeps coming every year, and it gets to the point where you can only can so much of it, and eventually your friends don't want to talk to you anymore because they know that there's going to come with a big bag full of fruit or a big bag of peaches or something like that. But you know what? I love doing that. So that was something else I've been thinking about is some chickens. It's funny. Someone I know from back home just recently got their kids a couple of chickens, and it was kind of cool. I like having eggs, and that would be fun. And when I was wandering around the other day, I went into like a farmer supply market where he had like all the stuff you need for if you're a farmer, and feed bins and clothing and all that stuff. And they had live chickens that you could buy, baby chickens that you could buy. So it wouldn't be that hard to do. If I was going to do a garden, though, I'd have to figure out a way to keep flash out of it. But if I had a big enough garden, if I had a big enough yard, I'm thinking maybe what I might do is maybe make like a little depressed area where you step down into it, and that would be Flash's area. Then she, put some plants in there she would like, and it would be big enough so she could wander around and do her thing, but not be able to get out. I'd have to figure out a way to make sure she can get above, you know, high up, so the thing doesn't fill up with water. That would be no good. But yeah, Jordan's friend Michael has some chickens, and they've had problems with some of the local wildlife taking a few of their chickens too. I hear that happens from time to time. No, no cowboy, no cowboy boots yet. I'm still tennis shoes and baseball caps and that kind of stuff. But who knows? Time will tell. Yeah, see, I'd probably stay away from the roosters for that reason. I'm a light sleeper to begin with. Last thing I need is some bird going rock-a-doo all night long. It's funny. I saw a video come across my Facebook timeline yesterday. It was a Siberian Husky puppy that apparently had grown up around roosters, and every time the roosters would crow, the Siberian Husky puppy would try and howl, and it would sound an awful lot like he was duplicating the rooster call. Yeah, there've been a couple points where I've been aware of roosters around my place when I was in California. So, uh, I was aware of them. Probably wouldn't get any myself. Wild turkeys, that would be weird. A friend of mine lives in Hawaii, and you'd see wild turkeys running around there from time to time. That was always interesting. So it seems like everything's kind of slowing down here. So I think probably what I'll do is I'll pull the plug on this for now. We've been going for 2 hours, and I think this has been a good conversation. So thanks as always for watching, and we'll do this again sometime. Maybe I'll advertise them, maybe I won't. Who knows? But I'll leave it up. People seem to like these, and people watch them, and we'll come back and get some hours out of it. Like and subscribe this. This is the best way to do this. I appreciate all of you, and thank you very much. Talk to you later.